The invitation arrived on a delicate cream-colored envelope sealed with gold wax. As the light hit the gold-embossed lettering, it seemed to shimmer, sending a ripple of unease through Sam. The Sullivan family reunion. It had been years since Sam last saw any of them. Years since they'd heard the name spoken aloud. The words on the page felt like an unwelcome ghost dragging up the past in a way that no amount of success could bury. Sam stood frozen in the sleek, glass-walled penthouse overlooking the city. The view was stunning, far more beautiful than anything Sam could have imagined as a child growing up in the small, suffocating town. That life was long gone, replaced by expensive suits, quiet dinners, and a life hidden behind the polished surfaces of wealth. No one knew who Sam had become. No one knew what had been built. They'd kept it all a secret for 15 years, distancing themselves from the noise of their family, their roots, the expectations. 15 years of silent success. Today, all of that was about to crumble. Sam's fingers trembled slightly as they turned the envelope over, breaking the seal. The elegant script inside called for their presence at the reunion. No details, just a date, a time, and an unspoken expectation. The weight of it hit hard. Could they ignore it? Refuse to go? Of course they could, but something in the pit of Sam's stomach told them that wasn't an option. Something was about to change, something Sam couldn't control. The invitation wasn't just a piece of paper, it was the catalyst for everything Sam had worked so hard to keep hidden. Sam's assistant's voice broke through the stillness of the penthouse, the calmness of the words only heightening the tension in the room. The Forbes article is going live in 2 days. The title is "The Hidden Billionaire: How Sam Winters Built a $1.2 billion Empire from Scratch." The words hit Sam like a punch to the gut. The secret they'd spent 15 years carefully cultivating, shielding from prying eyes, was about to be exposed to the world. Sam's heart raced, their breath quickening as the realization settled in. In less than 48 hours, everything would change. The empire, built in the shadows, away from the family who thought they were just another struggling artist, was now about to be thrust into the harsh light of day. In the quiet of their high-rise, Sam briefly closed their eyes, replaying the quiet years of building, the late nights, the risky decisions, the isolation. Every move had been deliberate, every success hidden behind a carefully constructed facade. Everyone thought Sam was barely scraping by. The world saw them as a dreamer, an artist trying to make it. But the truth was far different. Sam had built a fortune, an empire, by playing the long game, never once revealing the scale of their success. Now, in 2 days, that carefully protected secret was about to be laid bare. Panic twisted in Sam's chest as they realized what this meant. Not just the world, but their family would soon know everything. The reunion they'd already been dreading now held the threat of disaster. Sam had just 48 hours to prepare for the fallout. The phone rang, and Sam didn't need to look at the screen to know who it was. The name Ellie flashed, and a tight knot formed in Sam's stomach. They took a deep breath, bracing for what was coming. As soon as Sam answered, Ellie's voice erupted from the other end. "What the hell, Sam?" Ellie's words were sharp, loaded with anger. "How long have you been keeping this from us? How long have you been hiding your wealth?" Sam's pulse quickened. The words from the Forbes article had already done their damage, and Ellie, ever the one to react without holding back, was now fully in attack mode. "You've been pretending like we're all struggling, pretending like you're just getting by, and now we find out you've been sitting on a $1 billion empire this whole time? Do you have any idea how much that hurt us?" Ellie's voice cracked. frustration evident in every syllable. Sam clenched the phone tighter, their heart pounding. They wanted to explain, to tell Ellie how complicated it all was, how every decision had been made with the goal of protecting the family, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, Sam deflected. "I didn't want to make things complicated," Sam said, trying to keep their tone even. "I didn't want to bring any unnecessary stress into the picture." Ellie wasn't having it. "Stress? We were worried, Sam. You've been lying to us for years." Sam felt the familiar weight of past memories pressing down, the countless times Ellie had flaunted her own success in front of Sam, always with the bragging, always with the superiority in her tone. Those moments, small but sharp, came rushing back. Ellie had always made Sam feel inferior, a failure by comparison. Now, Ellie was accusing Sam of deception. The irony wasn't lost on them, but it only made the situation harder to navigate. "I'll see you at the," added coldly before hanging up. Sam stood there, staring at the phone, feeling both defensive and resentful. This conversation had only scratched the surface. The storm was just beginning. 15 years ago, Sam sat at the dinner table, the clinking of silverware and muffled conversation fading into the background as their father's words hit with brutal clarity. "That startup idea? It's foolish, Sam. You need something stable, something real. The family business is where you belong. Don't waste your time chasing dreams that won't pay the bills." The sting of those words lingered long after the meal ended. Their father, a man who built his success on predictable outcomes and steady growth, couldn't understand why Sam wanted to take risks, why they saw potential in a world beyond the family-run construction company. Every time Sam voiced a dream, their father dismissed it, pushing them toward the safety of a path already paved. It was that night, the night Sam made the decision to hide their success, that everything shifted. It wasn't just about rejecting their father's offer to join the family business. It was about proving to themselves that they could do it alone, but also about silencing the ever-present voice of expectation. If they succeeded, they would do it in secret. If they failed, no one would ever have to know. The first years were the hardest. Sam remembers the cramped Brooklyn apartment, the dim light filtering through the small windows as they hunched over a laptop, coding into the late hours, barely able to afford takeout dinners. No one knew the truth. To the outside world, Sam was just another struggling entrepreneur, living paycheck to paycheck. But behind the scenes, the business was growing. Slowly, quietly, Sam built a $1.2 billion empire, one that never saw the light of day. The emotional cost was high. Every dinner with friends, every family gathering, Sam wore the mask of struggle. It was easier that way, easier than facing the disapproval of a family that couldn't or wouldn't understand. The success Sam had earned felt hollow when weighed against the loneliness that came with the constant deception. But they couldn't change course now. They had made their choice, and with it, the weight of keeping their secret became the price of their ambition. The phone rang again, and Sam's heart sank. This time, it was Mia. Her voice, always soft and sweet, now held an edge of worry. "Sam, I don't even know what to say," Mia began, her words tumbling out in a rush. "I mean, Forbes? $1 billion empire? How could you not tell us?" Her tone was a mixture of shock and concern, but something about it felt different from Ellie's anger. Mia wasn't angry, she was worried. "I'm just trying to understand," Mia continued, "how this is going to affect the family. What are people going to think? How's it going to look that you've been sitting on this massive fortune while we've all been worrying about you?" Her voice cracked, and Sam could hear the tension rising in her words. This could tear us apart, Sam. You've kept this secret for so long. We've all been struggling and trying to keep the family's reputation intact. And now? This? Sam felt a wave of frustration sweep over them. Mia wasn't angry at the deception or the years of secrecy. No, she was angry about what it meant for the family's image. She was more concerned about the public's perception than about Sam's success itself. The realization stung. "Mia," Sam said, their voice low, trying to keep their emotions in check. "I didn't want any of this. I didn't want the family to worry. I didn't want to be a burden." "But you didn't think about us," Mia shot back, her words heavy with disappointment. "You didn't think about the reputation. You didn't think about the image we've worked so hard to build. This wealth, it's going to change everything." Sam's frustration simmered, the anger rising now. Why does success always come down to appearances? They couldn't understand how their family, especially Mia, could focus so narrowly on image. Wasn't the point of success to build something meaningful, something of substance? Was it all just about money? About status? "Maybe I should have thought about that more," Sam said, their voice sharp. "But I wasn't hiding it from you, I was hiding it from everyone." The conversation ended abruptly, leaving Sam with an aching sense of isolation. Ellie's anger had been harsh, but Mia's reaction felt colder somehow. Neither sister seemed to understand. Neither saw the struggle, the sacrifice that had gone into keeping this secret. Both saw only the surface, the shiny wealth, and how it threatened everything they thought they knew about family. The phone call from Sam's parents came just after the conversation with Mia, and the weight of it felt even heavier. Their father's voice, usually so firm and commanding, was quieter now, tinged with something that almost sounded like hurt. "Sam, why didn't you ever tell us?" he asked, the words deliberate, as if searching for an answer that wasn't there. "You've been sitting on a fortune all these years and we didn't even know? You've been working in silence? Why?" His tone shifted from confusion to a more pointed question. "Were we not good enough for you? Did you think you'd be ashamed of us?" Sam's throat tightened. The question stung more than anything their father had ever said. Sam had made their choice years ago, to leave the family business behind, to create something of their own. They had wanted to build a future that wasn't tied to the old world they were expected to inherit, but now, hearing the unspoken accusation in their father's voice, it felt like that decision had been a betrayal. Their mother's voice joined the conversation, softer but laced with its own form of disappointment. "Sam, I'm proud of you, of course," she said, her words slow and careful. "But I can't help but wonder if you're ashamed of us. Ashamed of where you came from. We've always wanted the best for you, but all this wealth, and you kept it from us. We thought we raised you better than this." Sam's stomach turned, a deep ache of frustration and confusion bubbling to the surface. Ashamed? Was that what they thought? Were their parents so tied to the idea of traditional success that they couldn't fathom a different path? The anger Sam had suppressed now surged. "Do you really think I'm ashamed of you?" Sam bit back, their voice tight with emotion. "Do you think I've been hiding my success because I wanted to forget where I came from? I didn't want to do this alone, but I had no choice. I didn't want to be your disappointment, and I didn't want to be a failure, so I built this life on my own terms." A heavy silence fell over the line before their father spoke again, the words slow and careful. "You've always been strong, Sam, but don't you see? There's more to success than just what you've built for yourself. We've always been a family. Your success should be our success." The realization hit Sam like a ton of bricks. This was never about them. It had never been about Sam's dreams or desires. It had always been about fulfilling their parents' vision of success, and that was something Sam couldn't bear to face. As the conversation ended, Sam was left alone with the crushing weight of their parents' expectations, feeling more distant from them than ever before. 2 days remained, and Sam's mind was a storm of conflicting emotions. The family reunion loomed like an inescapable wave, one that would break over everything Sam had worked to keep hidden. The Forbes article was only the beginning. The real confrontation would happen when they walked into that room, face to face with the family. The weight of the secret, the years of deception, was now unbearable. Sam knew they couldn't let the article control the narrative. If they were going to reveal the truth, it had to be on their terms. The idea of being blindsided by questions and accusations felt too much to bear. No, Sam would be the one to speak first, to set the tone. They would tell the family everything before the article took over. The plan began to take shape in Sam's mind. A carefully worded speech, a controlled revelation, one that would allow them to explain their choices, their reasons, before anyone else could speak. But as they ran the scenario over and over in their head, doubt gnawed at them. Would anyone understand? Could they ever accept the truth? Sam stood by the window, staring out at the city skyline, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. The moment of truth was coming, and no matter how prepared they tried to be, nothing could fully prepare them for the fallout. 2 days. The countdown had begun. The reunion hall was buzzing with the usual chatter, but as Sam stood at the center of the room, a heavy silence fell over the crowd. The anticipation in the air was thick, and every set of eyes was on Sam. Their heart pounded in their chest, but they forced themselves to stand tall, to stay composed. This was the moment. The truth was no longer something they could keep hidden. Taking a deep breath, Sam stepped forward. "I know you're all wondering about the article," they began, their voice steady but carrying an undercurrent of emotion. "The truth is, I've been hiding something from all of you, something I should have shared years ago. I didn't want to, but I have to now." The room was still, the weight of their words hanging in the air. Sam's eyes scanned the faces of their family. Their father, now sitting with a tense jaw. Their mother, her face a mix of confusion and disbelief. Ellie, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, clearly furious. "I built a business," Sam continued, their voice rising with confidence. "A billion-dollar empire from scratch. And for the last 15 years, I've kept it a secret. While you all thought I was struggling, I was building something you couldn't even imagine." Ellie's face turned red with anger. "You lied to us? All this time?" she shouted, pushing herself to her feet. "And you didn't even think to tell us? To share anything?" Sam's gaze softened, but their voice remained firm. "I didn't lie. I just didn't want you to worry. I didn't want to be a burden, to be tied to the image of success that you always wanted for me." Mia's voice trembled from the back of the room. "But why keep it hidden? Why not share it with us? With me?" Sam took a moment before answering, their eyes locking onto their mother and father. "I knew you'd be disappointed. I knew you'd think it wasn't the right way to succeed. I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't want to feel like a failure for not taking the path you wanted for me." There was a long silence. Sam's father finally spoke, his voice softer than before. "I don't know what to say, Sam. It's not what we expected, but you've done something extraordinary. We were just too focused on our own idea of success to see it." Ellie's anger simmered, but she looked at Sam differently now, less with rage, more with a sense of reluctant understanding. "I don't know if I can forgive you for keeping this from us, but I see what you've done, and that's impressive." Mia was still quiet, her face pained, as if struggling to reconcile the image of Sam she'd always known with the person standing before her. The silence stretched, heavy with unspoken emotions. Sam stood there, their heart racing but their body still. They had finally done it. The truth was out, and the family would have to deal with it, together or not at all. This moment would change everything. The days following the reveal were filled with an odd mixture of silence and tension. The family dynamic had shifted irrevocably, and Sam could feel it in every conversation, every glance exchanged. Ellie's anger had softened, but there was still an edge to it. Mia, though quieter than ever, seemed to be processing the truth in her own way, still unsure of how to reconcile the image of Sam they'd once known with the person they had just become. Their parents, while still reeling from the shock, had begun to ask questions about the empire, about Sam's choices, about everything. There would be long talks, difficult moments, and perhaps, in time, some form of healing. But for Sam, there was an unexpected sense of liberation. The weight of the secret that had been so suffocating for so long had finally been lifted. No longer did they have to hide behind the illusion of struggle. No longer did they have to tiptoe around the truth to protect the family's fragile expectations. It was done. The lie had ended, and Sam could finally breathe. Looking out the window of their apartment, Sam reflected on how far they had come. They weren't defined by their family's vision anymore. No longer were they bound by the path others had set for them. They had built their success from the ground up, on their own terms, and that above all was something to be proud of. There would still be questions, and there would still be tension to work through. But Sam had faced the hardest part. The future was theirs to shape now, without the fear of living a lie. Sam smiled softly, knowing that the journey was far from over. But for the first time in a long while, it felt like they were finally living for themselves